Hi everyone! Today's video was inspired by a mini-series that HBO put out a few years ago called Rome. In this DIY I'm going to give you a simple hair idea based on the character Atia, and I'm also going to teach you how to make a pair of Romanesque earrings that were actually inspired by a real pair that I saw in the Metropolitan Museum of Art here in New York City. For this project you will need craft wire and 20 gauge. Here I have some regular gold tone stuff, but I also have some braided 20 gauge wire which I think adds something special in terms of detail. You'll also need a tape measure, a chain nose pliers, nylon jaw pliers, and wire cutters. I'm also using a 3-step wire wrapping flat nose pliers along with my regular round nose pliers. You're going to need some earring hooks, eye pins and head pins, and of course then an assortment of beads. I tend towards natural stones and bright colors. Begin by unspooling some of your wire and straightening it out with the nylon jaw pliers. Next, pull out the tape measure and cut a piece that's 3 inches long with the wire cutters. Since we're making a pair of earrings, we'll need 2 of these 3-inch pieces. Beginning with my 3-step wire wrapping flat nose pliers, I place the wire between the flat edge and the thin part of the barrel in the very middle. Hold it tightly and then use your fingers to bend the 2 ends upwards as though you were folding it in half. Then push the end from the right towards the left and the end from the left towards the right. This will be the first loop and also the one from which we'll hang our earring hook at the end. Moving along, turn the wire upside down so that the loop is facing downwards. Using the same 3-step wire wrapping tool, grip the end and curl it over onto itself. You'll need to make this loop on the other side too, and when you finish this step, you should have 3 loops. The center one should be facing upwards and the 2 on the ends should be facing downwards. Putting aside the 3-step tool from my regular round nose pliers, I held the wire so that the center loop was facing up. Place your tool at the edge of one of these loops and turn it upwards and around. This should turn it into a shape that kind of looks like a figure 8. If you need to, use your chain nose pliers to close any open loops. The reason I chose to use the 3-step tool first was simply because I wanted the circumference of the first 3 loops to be a bit wider than the last one. However, if you've only got a regular round nose pliers, you can still mimic this look by placing the wire further down between the 2 cylinders. Here I'm using the chain nose pliers to grip the center loop, and I'm turning the rest of the earring 180 degrees. This will give the top of the earring a cool twisted effect. Now I'm going through the same motions with the second piece of 3-inch wire. You can see that I'm using the 3-step pliers to bend the wire evenly in half while directing the ends in the opposite directions to form the first loop. Then I'll turn it over so the center loop is facing downwards before making the 2 loops on the ends. When it's turned right side up, the center loop faces upwards and the 2 on the ends face downwards. Switching to my regular round nose pliers, I'm gripping the wire right at the ends of the loops on each side and turning them up and around to form a figure 8. And lastly, I'm holding the center loop steady with my chain nose pliers and giving the rest of the earring a full 180 degree turn so that I'll have a nice twist effect at the top. Now the main portion of the earrings are complete, and you can see here too what the base looks like when using the braided 20 gauge wire. But on to the dangles. Here I've got 4 gold-toned eye pins and 4 green jade stones. The first part of the step is relatively obvious in that you place each bead onto each pin, and because I'm making small dangles, I'm going to have to cut off some of the excess pin with the wire cutters. I only need a little room on each one to make a loop with my round nose pliers, so I'm visually gauging how much this will be before cutting. It's important that all 4 are even. We don't want one of the drops to be longer or shorter than the others, so once I've cut the first one, I'll measure it against the other 3. This will ensure that I'm cutting off the same amount on all 4. Continuing on, I'm using the most tapered part of the round nose pliers to curve the ends into a loop. Before closing it off though, I'll slip the bead onto the earring and then seal it up with my chain nose pliers. Here I've selected 4 purple glass beads and I've got 4 head pins too. The steps are pretty similar in that I'm just placing them all on the wires before snipping off excess pin. I'm measuring the first one I cut against the other 3 just like I did with the green beads on the eye pins. And then I'm using the round nose pliers to make loops that will connect with the first part of the dangle. All that's left are the actual earring hooks, and personally I think this is the easiest and fastest part. I'm just using my chain nose pliers to slightly open the loop at the base of each one before attaching them, and with that my earrings are complete. These are really easy to do, don't require tons of materials, and as you can see there are endless possibilities. Here's a few pairs that I made while sitting at my craft table. On to the hair. This too is a relatively simple idea and can probably be done by anyone, even braiding beginners. I started by running some lightweight hairspray through my hair, and this is just something I like to do because it adds some tack and grip during braiding. While it's still a bit damp from the product, I'll brush it through, and this too aids in pushing down flyaways. Beginning at my temples, I drew my fingers backwards so that they'd meet at the crown of my head. This creates a U shape or a horseshoe section, and for now I'm going to bun it and then pin it up and out of the way. My next sections were two vertical partings that extend from the top of the U parting to slightly behind my ear. I'll use some clips to hold them apart from the rest of my hair. I'm making yet another section, and this one's right at the base of the U parting. I've tied any remaining loose hair back with another clip, and I've selected to employ my texturizing iron on this one part. It'll be this portion of hair with which I'll make my crown braid. The iron will triple the size and volume of my hair, hence the reason I've chosen it. As an alternative, you can probably clip in some extensions for a fuller braid. Having swept all my crimped hair to the left shoulder, I've split it in two and turned it into a rope twist braid. As always, I'll link my Braidtionary video in the description below should you need a refresher. Moving forward, I pulled down the hair on either side of my head and began to curl and set it. This is a 3/4 of an inch barrel, and I like this one because it usually gives me pretty tight curls. My hair is only gently layered, and because of this, it's heavy on the ends. It won't hold a curl for very long unless I use a thin barrel, and even then, I always set it. To do this, roll the freshly curled ringlet back up and tuck it away with a pin curl clip. This allows the hydrogen bonds within the hair to cool into the shape that I want. I'm also going to curl the horseshoe parting at the top of my head, but I'm doing it a little differently. Starting at the back of the section, I'm holding my iron horizontally and wrapping the hair around the barrel. Once the hair heats up, slip the tool out of the loop and clip the hair in that same upright position. This provides the roots with some bonus volume and also makes a lovely wave pattern down the length. Now in this version I'm moving pretty quickly and I'm not paying very much attention to my ends. The goal here is just to attain the lift at the crown. I usually let my hair set and cool for about 10 minutes before I begin to pull out the clips. Once it was down, I lightly brushed out some of the curl at the top of my head before bunning and clipping it up once again. Carefully, I pulled the rope twist over and around the top of the U-shaped section, and then I used a few pins to secure the ends to the base before releasing the hair back over it. With my fingers, I spread the hair from this section across the back of my head so that it would cover the beginning and the ends of the braid. I then used a series of pins to keep it all in the right place. You can see that I tried to line them up as evenly as I could. When that was through, I brushed out the section from my temple on the left, twisted it and pinned it along the back of my head on top of that line of bobbies. The space on the back of my head is small, so I was able to draw this section across my head twice. And obviously, you have to do the same thing on the other side too. Brush it out, twist it back, pin, and then twist and fold the ends and double back with them too. Now remember, there was some hair at the nape of my neck that hadn't gotten curled, so that's what I'm taking care of now. Again, I'm using my 3/4 of an inch barrel, and I'm not bothering with the pin curl clips. I wanted my curls to stretch out while they cool so that I wouldn't lose any length in this area. And last but not least, you've got to put in your earrings and then you'll be ready to go. I hope you all enjoyed my video for this week. If you did, please give it a thumbs up or leave a comment. And if you happen to try out either of these DIY ideas, I'd love to see, so tag me on Instagram or Snapchat. I'll leave my social media links in the underbar below. I'll also leave a link to the picture I took of the ancient earrings that inspired me so that you can check them out too. Until next time, have fun and keep braiding. Bye!